Hello, welcome back to the channel, and we have some good news and some bad news. The good news is we have been on a dyno and we've made some pretty good power with potential for more. The bad news is we found the limit. Yeah, there's some oil on that housing right there, and there's a big puddle underneath. We're not sure what it could be. But it was fucking making some beans. So the day was pretty successful in terms of the tune. Everything was going real smoothly. We pretty much set the base for low boost, as you'll see in the video coming shortly. We went beyond that, and I was quite adventurous at this point. We actually turned it up to, well, we were aiming for about 17 PSI. I overshot the mark, we went to 18. No big deal, right? Well, turns out it's a pretty big deal. We cracked a front iron, particularly around the dowel area, which, for anyone that knows rotaries quite well, is pretty common on older rotaries. So your turbo 2s, everything pre-FD, REW, whatever you want to call it. But in this case, it is on the front iron, top dowel, hole area. It was such a small crack, it pissed me off. It pissed me off in the sense that it wasn't a more significant failure. But nonetheless, if it's only a small crack, we potentially have a solution, which I'll go on to very shortly. So I'll let this video roll in, and we'll resume having this little discussion. He's going through the motions of leaning down the fuel table, and we should steadily see an increase in power as a result of that. But at the moment it's looking pretty good. Boost is now steady. I did switch to using both ports on the wastegate just before today, because of a massive boost spike initially. We've had to revert back to a single port. So now boost is steady again. Fingers crossed, it should be alright now.
Take me to you.
we're making some beans. But somewhere down there is an oil leak, and we're not sure where from. Yeah, there's some oil on that housing right there. And there's a big puddle underneath. We're not sure what it could be. But it was fucking making some beans. So we've got a nice oil pool on the ground and a broken front iron. I'm pretty sure it's a cracked front iron on the top dowel. So I think that is the upper limit of the renesis, really. And it was all discovered by this man.
This guy, he kept turning it up.
Nonetheless, we know what to do. We should be able to get it back up and running in not too much time. And then, yeah, we'll keep the boost as low as we can. So here we are. It's currently Sunday evening. We've got a few days before a big Scotland trip, which I do every year. And yeah, my engine's apart. So as I said earlier, we found a limit. We've cracked the iron, so the only fix is obviously to replace it. But we want to prevent this from happening again, or at least attempt to prevent it from happening again. So it's a bit of an old school trick. Essentially what we're going to be doing is an external oil modification. And what that basically means is where the two top dowels go in the engine that go from front iron to rear iron, we're going to replace it with a solid one. The standard ones are hollow. Apparently you can get some unwanted twisting between front and rear iron. So the failure mode is it finds the weakest point, cracks the casting, and then you obviously have to replace the part. So the external oil mod allows you to run a solid dowel, and essentially the path of oil goes outside of the engine from the oil filter pedestal to the front iron. A pretty simple process, I must say. It involves drilling one of the oil galleries in the front iron. Those who have got REWs and Turbo 2 engines, they'll know exactly where this is. It's essentially where the turbo oil feed comes out from the top. So on RX-8s, these are blocked off of a brass plug. They're just sort of hammered in there and then pressed into place or something along those lines. We drilled it out. We drilled it out, and we've now put a AN6 fitting in, which I will show you. So this is the original iron. You can get a little close up on that. This brass blank on the top of the front iron is where you would normally drill. As I said, previous turbo engines use this as an oil feed, so we've actually drilled that out on this new iron here. So it's an M14, yeah. So it's an M14 by 1.5 thread, for those wondering. And we're simply going to put an AN6 feed in there. Obviously we'll put a washer in there to seal it properly. This AN6 fitting is going to link to the rear iron via an AN6 hose, and that's simply going to be the oil feed for it, for the front rotor and the rest of the engine. I can't remember what the path is, but it's somewhere in there. And as I say, that will allow us to run a solid dowel safely, and the engine will function as normal. Except it will have a bit more strength now, and hopefully we'll be able to turn up the boost back to where I intended and make the power we desire. We're still running a Bridgeport. I don't have the race extension like I used to, just simply because it takes time to port it out and I can't be bothered, to be frank. So yeah, full bridge still. It should run exactly the same as it did. Maybe a slight tweak in a tune and whatnot, but for all intents and purposes, we should be able to resume.